Hey everybody, welcome to the burning question. I know I haven't done one of these in the last couple weeks. Reason being is my wife had a baby, and so we have a infant at home, and I took a couple weeks off, and I've just been trying to kind of get back into the routine of things. And so we're back. Another burning question this week. This question this week is actually one that was not passed in a card. It's one that it's a question I wanted to raise because the text we're going to be in on Sunday morning. And I think it's something that it's not something I'm going to tackle this Sunday. And the reason being is because I don't think this is, I think it would take away from the main point of the sermon, the main point that I think of the text, is something that I really want to drive home. So, but I don't want to just gloss over this. I think it's something that's important to talk about and even discuss. And I think this topic is fun and interesting, and love to hear more comments about this one, because I think this is an interesting topic. The topic is this. It's found in Genesis chapter 6. It is, who is the Nephilim? The Nephilim. Who is the Nephilim? Now, let's just read the text to understand where we get this word from, where we see it. So Genesis chapter 6, we begin in verse 1. It says this: when man began to multiply in the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw the daughters of man were attractive, and they took as their wives any they chose. In verse 4, you find this word. Then it says the Nephilim. Also, some translation might say the giants, but most texts understand the Nephilim were on the earth in those days and afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and they bore children to them. These were mighty men who are of old, the men of renown. Okay, so you have these basically in essence what happened was you have the sons of God. They marry the daughters of man. They have children. These children are called the Nephilim. These Nephilim were they were mighty men of old, men of renown. People would have known who these were. These were not necessarily always. This doesn't mean they're good men. It just means they were known. People knew who they were. They were mighty men, mighty warriors. They were most likely, as I said, most people think they're giants. There's a text, actually the word Nephilim can be translated to giants as well. So they're tall. Goliath would have been, most of us don't know who Goliath is, possibly was one of these descendants of the Nephilim. We can get into that a little bit more, probably at a different time. What I focus on today is I want to focus on who are they? Who are the Nephilim? And just understand, one of my goals in this video right now is not do an exhaustive dive into the Nephilim more. My goal is to give you a quick overview of the different views of who they are. If you have more questions, once again, leave them in the comments below. I can follow up with another video. I also want to say I'm not an expert in this at all. I'll actually point you to an actual expert, by a guy by the name of Dr. Tim Chaffee, who I found online. I read some of his articles that he has. He also has quite a few videos on YouTube about this subject. He even just wrote a book, a 500-page book called Fallen. And so this guy, he has studied this thing for years, and he has just every single argument that is out there. He's given all the different views and why they're credible, why they're not credible, all of them. And he does an amazing job explaining who they are. So if you want more, I don't know if I'd look to me for this. I would definitely point you to him, Dr. Tim Chaffee. Look him up. He has a lot of great stuff out there. So anyways, three main views of who the Nephilim are. These three main views, they are not just something new. They have found themselves throughout church history. They have a long history to all these three views. Some I think are more credible than others. I do have one view that I do hold to. I'll explain it at the end. But here are basically three main views that you find. The first view is this, called the Sethite view. This is the idea that the sons of God were actually the sons of Seth, and the daughters of man were actually the daughters of Cain. You find the sons of Seth, you find in chapter 5, you get this long genealogy of basically the messianic line coming from Adam's son Seth, and then going all the way to Noah, then Noah into further down the line, Jesus, right? So that's the messianic line, the sons of God, meaning Messianic line. Then you have the daughters of man would be the daughters of Cain, the ungodly line, you could say, found at the end of chapter 4. You get this shorter genealogy of the ungodly line of Cain. Basically, the idea is that the sons of God, sons of Seth, marry the daughters of man, daughters of Cain. They marry, they become unequally yoked. They have children. These children, basically, after generation, they end up worshiping idols. They fall away from God completely. The idea is that the wives basically lead the men astray to worship idols and not to worship God anymore. Why is this credible? It could be one main reason is in the text. It definitely kind of flows into it. So you have chapter 4, then you have chapter 5. You have two genealogies of two different people. It's very, very clearly you got the ungodly line, you got the godly line. So you can kind of see that. And so when you get into chapter 6, it kind of flows into, okay, well maybe what we're talking about here is these two lines, these two genealogies. They basically intermarry and they have wicked, awful children so bad that God decides to blot out the entire world. For sure, that definitely could be the case. Problem is, first off, is that the ungodly and the godly have married for generations. Even now, you have people that are being unequally yoked, and God has not destroyed the earth because of people being unequally yoked. So also, there is not enough textual evidence that shows that the sons of God is actually referring to humans in general. Just to point that out, there's definitely a lot of debate that is not the sons of God here is not speaking about humans, and also this view also does not explain why they call them giants. Why, when the daughters of Cain and the sons of Seth, when they marry each other, why are they giants? Why are they men of renown? Why are they godlike, really? Or what makes them godlike if they were just basically two humans procreating and having children? I mean, what about them is so special? So that's first view. Second view is this, the royalty view. This is the view that the kings at this time saw, basically they were the sons of God, and they saw the daughters of men, and they basically forced women to become their wives. These kings become godlike in a sense. They take multiple wives as polygamous relationships. So this is basically, this view is this the start of polygamy. It's the start of people taking up multiple wives, and the children that were born from these kings are godlike. They're giants. People would have known that they're men of renown. They were men that everyone would have looked up to as this is a godly line in a way. People might even worship them as well. Why is this credible? Well, throughout human history, this has definitely been something we have seen. We have definitely seen kings and rulers, even today, that hold themselves up in this godlike status, and their offspring continue in that lineage, and people do worship them. And so they are definitely giants, not necessarily giant in that way, but they're definitely people that are renowned, and people once again worship them. Problem is, no other place in Scripture is the Son of God used to refer to a king. And the language also, when it says the kings the sons of God took the daughters of men to be their wives, it doesn't mean they forced them at all. Actually, in fact, it's total opposite. And especially in Genesis, you actually find two different times where Abraham took his wife, and Isaac also took his wife, Rebecca. And in both these times, it was a voluntarily mutual relationship. Isaac and Abraham did not force their wives to marry them. It was a mutual. They came together and they married. There was no something sinful about this. So this does not mean they forced them at all. So there's definitely some problems there as well. Third view is the one that I think some of you, if you know this, if you know who the Nephilim, you heard this before, this is the one you're waiting for. The third view is the fallen angel view. Now, the idea with this view is that the angelic beings, who would be the sons of God, they were angelic beings, fallen angels, demons, they came to earth and they married the daughters of man, literally daughters of man, and they had children with them, and these children were called the Nephilim, the giants. There's another view on this that I think it's not really gaining a lot of ground, but some would say that actually the sons of God were actually demon possessed people that married women that had children. Definitely some major issues with this. Why the giants and all this stuff. Same thing. Why is this credible? Big thing is why this is credible. And this is the reason why this one is, because this is definitely a strange one. So actually, it's different. Why is this credible is because in the book of Job and the book of Jude, both times the sons of God is used to refer to as fallen angels. Both times. Same actually word in the Hebrew in the book of Job is, and when you find it, it is same word. You find here, sons of God, book of Job, sons of God, is both referring to, is in Job, angels. Same word. Now, this view also makes sense because if you could think about this, if you had angelic beings marrying humans and they had offspring, their offspring would be something different. Could even be God-like, superhero-like. You have half human, half angelic. We do know when angels have come to earth, fallen or not, like there is something that attracts us to them. Even an example of Sodom and Gomorrah, like when the angels walked through the town, the people wanted to sleep with them. Like it was like something so attractive about them that they wanted to be close to them, or something that's so fearful about the angels when people see them. So there's definitely something about angels that even today, like we're attracted to the idea of angels. So the fact that they came to earth and they procreated and they had children, there's definitely something about that would make us be like, whoa, like God-like, superhero-like. This is why this one has gained a lot of traction, and definitely some people are definitely believing this because it has a lot of credibility. Like if a half human, half angel was on Earth, we would be like, that's a man of renown. There's something special, different about this person. Problem with this. It's more questions, I guess. That I think the problem with this is that actually it brings up more questions for us to start asking. One big one is that can humans and angels even procreate? That's the big one. Can they actually have children? And that's one that there is in Scripture. There's a few places that it actually does reference. One passage where it says the God made us, I think it's in Psalms, God made us a little bit lower than the angels. And so the idea is that we're very similar. Many believe that angels were actually made in the image of God as well. And so that would mean that they take this as that it possibly we're very similar to each other. Angels, when they do come to earth, they look like us as far as we know. Definitely some credibility with that. But the problem is that there's, who are they? It's definitely some strange. And also, it's another thing to think about. There's many questions that come up, and I can bring up many of them. We can keep going on for an hour of all these questions and all these different things that we're going to talk about. But there are definitely some problems that arise from this. Now, just to conclude all this, to kind of bring us to an end. Who are the Nephilim? Just to conclude this, we don't really know who they are. To be honest with you, there's no way to truly know. The point of this passage, and this is why I don't want to bring this up on Sunday, is that the world is in Genesis chapter 6. This is kind of a interlude right in between where God is going to say, I'm going to flood the entire world. And this passage, what I believe is here. This is why I do believe that the Nephilim were fallen angels. This is my view. I believe that the Nephilim are the sons of God with the angels, fallen angels, demons, had children with daughters, man, and their offspring is Nephilim. I do believe that. That is my view. And I believe it's so bad that God says, I'm going to destroy the entire world, right? And there was something so evil on this world, earth, that God said, I need to end it all. And I believe what it was the Nephilim. It was that evil and that bad that God said, I need to start over. And so that's my view. I know it's sometimes crazy to think, and I go back and forth whenever I bring this topic up, and I'm like, really? Is that really what happened? I don't. But once again, we don't really know. I will say this, I think I might have said this in the beginning, but this is nothing to split over. This is not something we should divide over. I think this is a topic that can be discussed and we can have healthy dialogue over, but not to split church is over. This is just an interesting topic to talk about. Because there is not enough scriptural evidence to make any one of these views concrete and for us to kind of hold to as factual, right? It is something, these are interesting. It's a fun topic to talk about. Something definitely, these Nephilim were on the earth. Who were they is something that we really do not know. One day we will know. But right now, there's really no way to actually know for sure. So anyways, at the end of this, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is maybe cleared up things. It probably actually raised more questions than anything for you. But I would love to hear more. If you have other views that maybe you have had or you've heard, you can leave in the comments below. More questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Keep the dialogue going, because I think this is an interesting topic to discuss. So anyways, see you guys hopefully next week.